This Civic Media podcast is sponsored by UW Organ and Tissue Donation. Organ donations are desperately needed, and now is the right time to become an organ donor. Talk to your family. Get the dot. Save lives. Go to heroicdeed.com.
Broadcasting across the state of Wisconsin on the Civic Media Radio Network and around the world on the Civic Media app. This is the Dom Salvia Show. And now, here's your host, Dom Salvia.
And welcome to the Dom Salvia Show. Thank you so much for listening. You can be a part of this fine production. Just join us on the phones. It's a text line as well, 855-752-4842. I see some of you folks. Thank you for hanging around. I promise we will get to you. But I want to start with the breaking news last hour. I think Maggie actually got it in the 4 o'clock hour. But we were reminded with Dan Schaefer, our Civic Media's political editor, that Eric Hovde has made a statement after Dan wrote a nice article telling why Hovde should concede. Hovde instead released like a 4-minute video about why he's not going to. It has been picked up and reported on at the Journal Sentinel. Allison Dare and our friend Jesse Apoyan, DOFE GOP Senate candidate. Hovde refuses to concede in video, levels misleading claims. It's not him, it's the mustache.
The mustache is doing all of the misleading.
Yeah. Hovde, with the bare lip, he would never do that. Just a bit here.
Well, I mean, is the mustache itself misleading?
Yes, you got to blame the mustache. I blame the mustache.
It's not a real mustache.
It's not a real mustache. Shh. Conspiracy theories. A little bit from the report, and then we have the sound, Jess. We got it. We got it.
Yeah, we got a minute
can we
of it.
stop and start it if I have an issue with it, or how's that working?
No.
Oh, damn it. Okay, we'll have to talk over it.
You're just going to have to talk over it. I clipped a minute of it.
Okay.
So this is a minute of him talking about why he really lost this election. I mean, he does understand that he lost the election because he didn't get enough votes. But
I mean, that's usually how it works.
That's usually how it works. But why didn't he get those votes? Let's listen.
Okay.
What we do know is that Democrats organized and funded a phony America First candidate, Thomas Leaguer, on the ballot to deceive voters, that this candidate was aligned with President Trump.
What about
in
Phil
order
Anderson?
To siphon votes from me. Because of this deception, Leaguer received 28,724 votes.
Yeah, he got those votes. People
Additionally,
chose
Democrats
to vote for him.
propped up the Libertarian candidate, Phil Anderson, who garnered 42,344 votes through mailers and digital media to again draw votes away from me. If either of these candidates had not been in the race, the outcome would be different today.
That's how elections work.
Is this right
Not
and
necessarily.
fair to deceive voters? Is this the democratic process we want? Confidence in our elections is essential to a functioning democracy. It is one thing to lie to voters through TV ads like I'm a Californian or I want to ban abortion or ban beer. It is another to fund and organize a false candidate to manipulate voters.
A false candidate. I know Phil Anderson. You know what I mean? I was MC of the 2016 state convention for the Libertarian Party of Wisconsin.
I did know that.
Oh, yeah. So I know Phil.
Mm-hmm.
Phil's a nice guy. Phil take all the votes he can get, as any third-party person will. If you want to support Phil, go ahead. I mean, come on. I'm not a fan of that kind of, playing around, because sometimes it can come back to bite you. But, yeah, man, that's kind of how it is. You should know that. And what was not being reported, at least in what we have, and this is being reported at the Journal. Hovde said in his video that he was shocked, I tell you, by Milwaukee's reporting of its absentee ballot results early Wednesday morning, despite the widespread knowledge, apparently not by Hovde. That knowledge must have been under the Farm Bill. Despite the widespread knowledge that the state's most populous city consistently reports its absentee ballots all at once early the morning after a major election like last week's. And a further delay had been expected following the city's decision to restart the counting after more than 30,000 ballots had already been tabulated. That decision, which the city's top election official said was made out of an abundance of caution, yes, I agree, and in consultation with Democrats and Republicans, caused Republican Senator Rojo Ron Johnson and the Republican Party of Wisconsin Chairman Brian Schimming to personally come to the city's downtown absentee ballot counting operation in the afternoon of November 5th.
Interesting.
Whoa, thank you, Ron. You got observing.
Oh.
Yeah, all right, man, I got you. Do what you
Sure.
got to do.
Sure.
Here's what Hovde said. Like many of my supporters, I was shocked by what unfolded on election night. At 1 a.m., I was receiving calls of congratulations, and based on the models, it appeared I would win the Senate race. Then hours later, he recounted, the results of the city's 108,325 absentee ballots were added to the city's totals from its polling places. Now, under Wisconsin law, we are informed here by the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. It's been talked about quite a bit, and once again, maybe this information was under the Farm Bill file, Hovde. But under Wisconsin law, absentee ballots cannot be processed before 7 a.m. on Election Day. The Republican-controlled state Senate earlier this year, let a bipartisan bill die that would have made it possible for clerks to start processing and finish counting absentee ballots earlier. That means that especially in high turnout elections like those for president, the city's absentee ballots results are often reported late at night because of the sheer number that must be counted. The volume of ballots in this heavily Democratic city means those votes can change the course of statewide elections when they are added to the total, often late at night, as was the case here. Now, I mean, and I got to tell you, I don't know what kind of campaign operation you're running here, Hovde, but everybody knows who's in this world that knows that those absentee ballots have not yet dropped. And if you were popping the champagne and smoking cigars before those 108,000 ballots came on, well, you, sir, are woefully misinformed and probably should not be anywhere near the Senate, sir.
For that and a few other reasons.
I mean, the mustache especially.
The mustache
I mean,
especially, yeah.
855-752-4842. So Hovde's, he's going to play around. He's going to keep, I mean, and he's got the right, and you want to say those things. But again, it's not, there is no wrongdoing here. And we talked about this with Dan Schaefer, you know, in the lead up to this election cycle with lots and lots of different folks, election officials, guests, about this, how it works, how the absentee ballots are counted in Milwaukee. This has been a known thing. You may not know it, but it is known. It could be known. It is to be known. Your ignorance of the issue, perhaps willful, sir, because you're seemingly putting it on Milwaukee County when you Republicans could have addressed this, but you know you didn't want to, just for this reason. So a guy like Hovde, who lost by under 30,000 votes, could come and throw shade on the city of Milwaukee because they have to count their ballots last, or they can't start counting until 7 o'clock in the morning. And when legislation, bipartisan, I would add, bipartisan legislation was presented to the state legislature to address this, to do away with the casting of the shade and the conspiracy theories that somehow, some way, the absentee ballots in Milwaukee are not legitimate. Well, maybe they did that for a reason. Maybe they wanted this argument for Hovde in case of this kind of situation. And I would also recall, it was been some years ago, Crudy and I were watching the returns come in, I think, for maybe Joe Biden. And I think it was even Vice President Pence's numbers guy. They knew that the absentee ballots in Milwaukee hadn't dropped yet. They knew that was coming. And the guy actually predicted, I'm pretty sure it's on Twitter, what percentage he thought that would be. Call it, I don't know, 70-30, something like that, for the Dems, because it's coming out of Milwaukee. It's going to be statistically pretty similar, probably to other elections. These things can be known, they can be estimated, but if you're going to put your head in the sand or hide behind your mustache and say that for some reason, imply for some reason that the folks in Milwaukee are doing something wrong, I think that's this absolute BS, Hovde. That is absolute BS. And for the Republicans to allow this to happen, to continue on, the charade to go on, when they could have addressed it to do away with conspiracy theories and crapping on our election officials, well, they declined to do so. Local government matters, folks. 855-752-4842. Let's get to some of the callers who've been very, very patient. We do appreciate it. I know we got lots of texts as well, but let's get the horns first. Bob from Madison, you will be up next. Bob, welcome. What do you got for us?
Hey, thanks for taking my call. I I've been stewing on this for a while, but I just couldn't take it anymore. I agree with Maggie Dawn on everything she said, right?
Yeah.
But the thing is, it's more than that. I mean, yes, Trump does dumb down to about a fourth grade level for his people. Real easy bites. Teachers are bad. Unions are bad. Something they can grab a hold of. But it's more than that. It's the lies on Fox News. I'm just going to put it right on their shoulders.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the most highly watched television show and quote parody news show, I should say, right? I mean, but nobody calls them out on it. I mean, even the main networks don't call Fox out on the lies. I mean, this is absurd. You've got this ginormous problem, and everybody acts like we're on Lake Wobegon, and they just look the other way. Well, I've watched Fox News as much as I can stomach it, and it's tough. But but the lies, I mean, I just sit in disbelief at the lies. I mean, it used to be lightly laced with the elements of the truth, but now it's just blatant lies. Nobody's calling them out on it.
Well, Bob, they have been much more cautious with regards to, I don't know, like election machine, voting machines. You know what I mean?
Well,
they had to pay like $800 million for defamation, right? I think they're still in talks with Smartmatic. That was the Dominion.
That didn't happen, did it? That didn't happen.
No, I mean, come
you
on.
Watch Fox News? I mean, I talk to so many people, and when they start, if we get into a discussion, I bring that up, and the other side, they don't even know about it. They don't know what's Dominion. They don't know what it is.
Yes, and that, Bob, is one of the things that I'm struggling with as I try to react to my conservative and Trump voting friends and audience. Bob, and thanks for the call, man. How to address that. And it's not because they get so defensive, the ones I've talked about. When you give them information they're not aware of it. Bob, as you mentioned, Dominion. What do you mean Dominion? What? Yeah, defamation, man. They got up and they lied to you. When you all got all worked up about the election last time, about all the votes being switched and this kind of thing. Yeah, they were lying to you then. So actually, one of the core basis of your angst when it comes to whether or not your vote counts, that was complete fabrication. Complete fabrication brought to you by Fox News. And because of that, they were found guilty. And actually, let me rephrase that. They settled for like $700, $800 million to Dominion. Now, I think Smartmatic, another voting machine company, has yet to settle. I have to Google out. Folks, your Google isn't broke. You can find out. But this is the point, Bob. Everybody can find out if you want to know. That is there to be known. This isn't just some, podcast or something thrown up on Facebook or on Twitter. These are court records, man. You can go to the courthouse. You can find it. You can read it for yourself. You're willfully choosing to not know and appreciate and understand that information, that willful ignorance. That's what's unacceptable. Folks, this is the Dom Salvia Show. You are totally acceptable here. 855-752-4842.
You're listening to Civic Media. Stay up to date on the latest news and information for your local community and Wisconsin by signing up for our free email newsletter. Visit civicmedia.us/email to get started.
And welcome back to the Dom Salvia Show, 855-752-4842. It's a phone line. It's a text line. Jess P.S. is on the board and on the horn. Some of the texters out there, Uncle Tony, saying, hey, Dom, put a call out to all the people who voted for the third-party Senate candidates and ask them why they didn't vote for Hovde. Well, I mean, obviously it's a conspiracy. Phil Anderson, I consider him a friend. I haven't seen him in a while, but he's always a nice guy to me every time I see him. He's been on the show. I've known Phil for going on probably 8-9 years now, when he was running for the Libertarian Party back in 15-16. A lot of libertarians voted for him. He got like 40,000 some votes, more than this other person who was apparently
significantly more
supported by the Dems. Ask them. I mean, if Eric Hovde thinks that this would be a totally different election, well, I mean, that's possible. If every single voter who voted for a different candidate would have voted for you, this would have been a totally different election. Yeah, no kidding. And if I was 6'8", I'd have been in the NBA. I mean, are you kidding me? I mean, I'm an athlete. I don't know. I mean, I'm short, but I'm an athlete. Thank you for stating the obvious, Mr. Hovde. But I think it's also, as being a guy who has voted for Republicans and Libertarians in the past, don't assume that just because I voted for Libertarian, if I did, and I didn't, but if I were to vote for Phil Anderson, that if I didn't make that vote, that somehow, some way, I would have voted for you. I mean, that's quite a stretch, sir. If everyone would have voted for me, I would have won.
No.
Jeez. This guy's 100 million. I mean, he's got hundreds of millions of dollars.
Lots of bills to dry his tears.
Oh my God. So, any you third-party voters, curious to know, would you have voted for Hovde? Why didn't you vote for Hovde? 855-752-4842. Cam, very, very active on the text line. Love you, man. Can't read all of those. Don't even know what you're talking about half the time.
But
Thank you, Cam. He single-handedly made the Fox Valley a win for us. I'm assuming you mean the Dems. Terry from Cottage Grove. I worked the polls Tuesday night in Cottage Grove. There were a ton of registrations, so I'm sure it was the same in Milwaukee. Thank you, Terry. Yeah, lots of new registrations, but apparently if people register, that's just problematic for Hovde. Well, it doesn't match exactly. Let's see what else we got. More Cam. Thank you, Cam. Thank you, Cam. Jim from Appleton. If I'm not terribly mistaken, the votes that put Tammy over the top came from Racine County, not Milwaukee. Interesting. 855-752-4842. But, of course, it's Milwaukee. And that's where all the black people live. And so that's where all the problems are if you're a Republican. But thankfully, under the watchful eye of Wisconsin GOP chairman Schimming and Wisconsin's own senator Ron Johnson, I'm sure they would have caught any nefarious activities going on when they went down there after that to recounting those 30,000 ballots because the doors weren't open or whatever. Oh, man. 855-752-4842. Mark from the SAC, you're next. Welcome, Mark. What do you got for us?
Yeah, well, briefly, and Hovde's tears come down like fallen rain. He'll stomp around, calling out Tammy's name. He'll yell and hold the way sore losers do. You lost, you fool. You are such a tool. I mean,
wow, Mark, man.
He's got some verse for
I'm glad
us.
I can inspire you, my friend. Am I your muse? No, Hovde's your muse.
No, this thing has been rattling through my brain. I mean, I posted another one on Facebook too that you guys ought to check out. Kind of a riffed off the old V for Vendetta. Remember.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah, I remember the mask especially. Hey, Mark, thanks for your contribution as always, my friend. 855-752-4842. Eric Hovde not conceded yet because, God, if he just would have had more voters, he would have won.
If only.
There's a couple of pieces, folks, that I haven't gotten to yet. One of them is from The Nation magazine. It was written, I guess, 5 days ago now. Ellie Mistel, you might see him around on some of the shows. There's no denying it anymore. Trump is not a fluke. He's America. There's another piece I came across, and this one was from today. In the Raw story, The Truth Bomb, too many Democrats need to hear D. Earl Stevens' commentary. And D. Earl Stevens references Wisconsin. So I think we're going to have to reach out to this cat. And I've been struggling. I'm wondering how are you dealing with it? I don't want to disrespect my friends and family who voted for this. I mean, I don't. I really don't. I don't understand. I'd like to understand. But when new information comes to light, man, Big Lebowski, and you don't take it under consideration or you dismiss it as lies when it's actually truth, it's it's hard for me to understand why that would happen. We talk about what the media is now and where you're getting your information. Here we are on traditional broadcast radio, and when the hurricanes come through and the lights go down, everyone remembers radio. When the internet's not working, I'll come back then. Radio, very instrumental in North Carolina when the hurricane went through there. We have our weather alerts, those kinds of things. An established legacy media. And taken over almost entirely over the years by right-wingers. Traditional legacy newspapers, think New York Times, Washington Post, LA Times. All right, what do we see? The Washington Post, owned by Bezos, the Amazon guy, he's very rich. They declined to endorse him, in their editorial. Well, what does that matter? Well, they haven't done that. They've endorsed every year for like 40 years. I mean, this is something that they have normally done. And when you have a newspaper and you have an editorial department, that they give opinions, that's what they do. LA Times also declined. A billionaire owner there put the kibosh on a Kamala Harris endorsement. I believe the political editor there resigned as well. And now my understanding is that cat fired everybody in the editorial department at the LA Times.
Oh, that's great.
The rich guy. So we got... And of course, then we have Musk buying up Twitter, one of the biggest platforms there is. So we have these billionaires essentially controlling the flow of information. That's also seemingly, to me, a little problematic, especially if you think that maybe the billionaire class is part of the problem. Folks, this is the Dom Salvia Show. We're going to come back with your calls as well. 855-752-4842. Is this America? Yeah, I think it is.
You're an organ donor, right? Well, here's a tragic fact. Approximately 20 people die each day waiting for precious donated organs. You could make a life-saving decision simply by getting that important dot on your driver's license. That little dot shows those who need to know that you've made a decision to donate organs at a critical time. Go to heroicdeed.com to learn more about the importance of organ donation and how you can make your wishes known. Talk to your family. Get the dot. Save lives. heroicdeed.com.
People say that I'm a bad influence. I say the world's already. I'm just adding to it. They say I'm teenagers suicidal. Come on, do as I do. Go ahead, get mad and do it. People say that I'm a bad influence. I say the world's already. I'm just adding to it. They say I'm.
And welcome back to the Dom Salvia Show. 855-752-4842. 855-75-CIVIC. It's a phone line. It is a text line. Just PS is on the board. We'll take your calls. And the text. Mark says, doesn't Fox claim to be an entertainment and not news?
Yeah. And that's what they had to start calling themselves.
I'm not news. I'm entertainment. I try to shy away from the reading aloud on the radio, but this one, it keeps coming back to me, and I've read it over and over again, and I get angry when I read it. But I can't get away from it. So now you're going to have to deal with it with me. As I mentioned, Ellie Mistel from The Nation. There's no denying it anymore. Trump is not a fluke. He's America. The United States chose Donald Trump in all his ugliness and cruelty, and the country will get what it deserves. Oh, man.
Scathing.
I guess apparently it's a robust, spanking, furious spanking, robust.
Vigorous spanking.
Vigorous, thank you. Vigorous spanking. Yeah, that doesn't work for me, so unless I ask for it. Ellie Mistel writes, America deserves everything it's about to get. We had a chance to stand against fascism, authoritarianism, racism, and bigotry, but we did not. We had a chance to create a better world, not just for ourselves, but for our sisters and brothers, in at least some of the communities most vulnerable to unchecked white rule. But we did not. We had a chance to pass down a better, safer, and cleaner world to our children, but we did not. Instead, we chose Trump, J.D. Vance, and a few white South African billionaires who know a thing or two about instituting apartheid. I could be more specific about the quote-unquote we. Roughly half of us didn't vote for this travesty. I could be more specific about who did. And as people pour over the exit polls, and only thing liberals will do liberally is dole out the blame. But the conversations about who is to blame, the hand-wringing about who showed up and who failed the moment, are largely academic and pointless. America did this. America, through the process of a free and fair election, demanded this. America, as an idea, concept, an institution, wanted this. And America, as a collective, deserves to get what it wants. Now, to be clear, no individual person deserves what Trump will do to them, not even the people who voted for him to do the things he's going to do. Nobody deserves to die for their vote, even if they voted for other people to die. But we, as a country, absolutely deserve what's about to happen to us. We, as a nation, have proven ourselves to be a fetid, violent people, and we deserve a leader who embodies the worst of us. We are not better than Trump. If anything, thinking that we are better than Trump, thinking there is some silent majority who opposes the unserious grotesqueries of the man, is the core conceit that has led the Democratic Party to such total ruin. America willed Trump into existence. He was created from our greed, our insecurities, and our selfishness. We have summoned him from the depths of our own bile and neediness, and he has answered. And now that he is here, we deserve our fate, because the most fundamental truth about Trump's reelection is that Trump was right about us. He will be president again because he, and perhaps he alone, saw us for how truly base, depraved, and uninformed, I'm repeating that, uninformed we are as a country. Trump is not a root cause of our ills. He did not create the conditions that allowed him to rise. He is, and always has been, a mirror. This is how America sees itself. If people would just look at him, they would see themselves as we've always been. He is rich because we are rich, or think we will be. He is crass because we are crass. He is self-interested because we are. He punks the media because the media are punks. He is unintelligent because we are uninformed. The President of the United States is the singular figure who is supposed to represent all Americans, and Trump reflects us more accurately than perhaps any president ever has. That's why the people who love him so passionately. He is them, and he tells them that being what they are is okay. He never for a second requires America to be better than it is. He never expects more of America than it is able to give. Trump tells America to be garbage. Garbage is easy. That's why the people who hate him so intensely. He's the monster we turn into after a few drinks. He's the intrusive thought we have at work that we don't act on and try to quickly forget. He's the glimpse you catch of yourself in the mirror that makes you think, damn, I need to hit the gym. He's the ketchup stain you acquired at lunch that you try to hide under your tie until the end of the day. He's our embarrassments, our failures, and our regrets made flesh and come to haunt us. We cannot rid ourselves of Trump because we cannot run away from ourselves. This is who we are, whether we like it or not. We will never be better than we are if we do not first confront what we are. As any recovering alcoholic or drug user could tell you, admitting you have a problem is the first step to recovery. But that requires admitting you have a problem, not them, not somebody else, not the gods, not the forces beyond your control. Trump is America's problem, but America is not ready to take responsibility for what we have done. And so we will suffer. We've done this, and we deserve to face the consequences of our actions. Indeed, the utter lack of consequences is a huge reason why Trump is back. America could not bring itself to punish our avatar after he left office the last time, so we must sit for our remedial lessons. The beatings, as it were, will continue until morale improves. Everyone who hates Trump is asking how America can be saved from him again. Nobody's asking the more relevant question. Is America worth saving? Like I said, Trump is the sum of our failures. A country that allows the environment to be ravaged, its children to be shot, its wealth to be hoarded, its workers to be exploited, its poor to starve, its cops to murder, and its minorities to be hunted doesn't really deserve to be saved. It deserves to fail. Trump is not our retribution. He's our reckoning. Ellie Mistel writing at The Nation. Trump is our reckoning. 855-752-4842. It hurts to read that. Seems to cut a little close. Uninformed, yeah. Media punks, yeah. People sitting on their ass. DOJ, Garland, because you couldn't go after the avatar, the reflection that is us when it was so obvious what was happening. And now perhaps we will never know to the extent, to the degree of Trump's involvement in the J6 insurrection. Uninformed? Yeah. Oh, people did time for January 6th. Yeah, just for trespassing. No, dude. Seditious conspiracy, 20 plus years. The Oath Keepers, the Proud Boys. Proud Boys were, what, bodyguards for Roger Stone. Who's Roger Stone? Google it. Roger Stone has Trump on speed dial, yo. And those dudes went to jail for seditious conspiracy. And no one's curious enough to know. I see Paul Krugman put up on his Facebook page. Oh, people are starting to search. What are tariffs? How do tariffs work? Little late now. Little late now. We deserve what we get. Is America worth saving? Maybe I disagree with Ellie in this regard. Abso-frickin-lutely. Could always be worse. We make it better. You fight for what's right. And I will not apologize for stating fact. Cold, callous, hard facts to those who are ignorant of them. And not ignorant in a bad way. Ignorant, I'm so ignorant. Man, there's so many things I don't know about. But you know what? I'm also curious. And I try to learn, try to understand, try to comprehend, empathize. You know what I'm saying? Ignorance is not a bad thing. But the problem is when you're ignorant and you're presented with the facts. Hey, yeah, some dudes did go to jail for seditious conspiracy. Like 22 years, man. Oath Keepers, Proud Boys. Yeah, those guys were palling around. The hotel, I forget the name of the hotel. I'll have to Google that too. They had a plan, man. This wasn't didn't just happen. They stashed guns all around the environment there, across the river. Man, this was ready to go. This was a thing. Come, we'll be wild. Those cats that were involved, the people at J6 that Trump swears he will pardon, well, they got justice was served to them. The Proud Boys, the Oath Keepers, those involved in the seditious conspiracy, they got their justice. But you voters who voted for Trump, maybe didn't know what Dominion was, didn't know that Fox News settled for hundreds of millions of dollars because they lied to you. The source of some of your angst was created by the very media that you consume, that you believe is telling you the truth, and they are not. And when you are confronted with the truth, you have two options. You could accept it, or you could reject it. Accepting it brings you knowledge, maybe a little wisdom. Parse the words. Rejecting it is willful ignorance, and that is never acceptable, and I will always, always call you out on that. 855-752-4842. Jeannie from Eau Claire, you are next. Welcome, Jeannie. Thanks for calling. What do you got for us?
You go down. You go down. God darn it, I'm getting sick of people blaming us.
That's what I'm saying, Jeannie.
We've been on this for how many years when it started in the state of Wisconsin with Scotty Walker?
Mm-hmm.
Those big money groups coming in, lying, sending out literature. And also, there's a lot of people who don't have cable. There's a lot of people that don't have internet service. And get that garbage like Hovde sending out, just garbage, and then peppering our local TV station ads non-stops with lies about Tammy Baldwin and Kamala Harris. How in the devil are people supposed to get the message when those darn big money are supporting all this garbage? And I'm sick of it. And God dang it, they can't just they can't blame the Democrats because, God dang it, every God dang day I watch those people working in the House, working in the Senate, trying to get things passed as those God darn MAGA sat there. Oh, we're going to go after Joe Biden's son. And then they went after him for his laptop and showing porn pictures in the House.
Yeah.
So you people who voted for this and didn't even take our word, we're not lying to you. You guys, we've all spent hours and hours watching live, taking notes, looking at documents. We went live to the people. Why in the world would we waste our time? We got better things to do. We wanted people to have the knowledge to do the right thing. And thank you, Civic Media, for all you've done. And you guys, you devil's advocates have started working really hard for the people with Scotty Walker. We finally beat that mess. Still finally working on it. But God darn it, we don't need it in our federal court. Go for the Green Bay sweep, folks. You ought to be real dang proud. You have a good evening, and thank you, and keep up the great work, okay?
All right, Jeannie, thank you so much. Long-time listener. Yeah, thank you. And so FCC compliant. I mean, so controlled.
Seriously.
That's
I
very
went
well
reaching
done.
for my dump button once, but then I realized she got this.
She's got it. She is a pro. Give her the mic. More pro than me. I got to keep my mouth shut.
Every once in a while, I see you.
Let's squeeze Richard in from Waukesha. Welcome, Richard. What are your thoughts?
How you doing, Don?
I'm all right, man.
How old are you?
53. How old are you?
71.
All right, man.
Now, I just want to tell you, I'm from the Richard Nixon era when I was worrying about going to the war when I was in high school. What would happen, if the president would do like Mr. Nixon and say at noon tomorrow I'm done, and you'd have to have a president, wouldn't you? Would you get the Supreme Court justice to swear in the vice president?
I mean, I would assume that would happen, Rich, but to what end, though? What? Because President Harris would have to leave the White House come next year anyway. So what does that get anybody, in your opinion, Richard? 30 seconds.
You get an opinion on the head of the Justice Department and the Supreme Court.
All right, man. I just don't know. It seems like a little late at this hour, Richard, but appreciate you calling, man. Appreciate the thought. 855-752-4842. There's another piece as well. I'm just going to light it up, but it's a little shorter. D. Earl Stevens, the commentary. Of course, your calls as well. We'll get them in 855-75-CIVIC.
Teenagers knew his idol. Come on, do as I do. Go ahead, get mad and do it. Just let it go. People say that I'm a bad influence. I say the world's already full. I'm just adding to it. They say I'm teenagers knew his idol. Come on, do as I do. Go ahead, get mad and do it. Just do it.
You're listening to Civic Media. Find the latest news, information, and archives of all your favorite shows on the Civic Media website, civicmedia.us.
And welcome back to the Dom Salvia Show, last segment of the day. If you got something to say, hit us up on the lines right now, 855-752-4842. L.A. Tom, you are next on the lines. Welcome, Tom. What do you got for us?
Hey, Dom. First off, that was a great article.
Yeah.
That was pretty much everything I was thinking in terms of, goes back to the who you want to have a beer with thing.
Yeah.
But it really hits it where it's really a reflection upon who we are as a people.
Sure.
And it's something that we all need to really take a good look at.
Or
also,
not.
Yeah, right. Although also Jeannie is 100% correct as always. She's just such a bright beacon of hope in that area of Eau Claire, and just love her. Because one thing about it too is that we're not about owning the conservatives. Like they're about owning the libs. We're not about owning the conservatives. I could give a rat's ass about the conservatives. I care about our country as a whole. And our country as a whole is, I hope I'm wrong about this whole Donald Trump thing. I hope I'm wrong about Project 2025.
Yeah.
I would be celebrating in the streets.
Right.
I just don't think I am. And I didn't think I wanted to take a chance on the people that call in on their kids and grandkids. And I know we have a lot of like old people, 70 and older, that call in. It's like, this really is not even their future of any kind. And they need to really start thinking about their kids and grandkids, especially the grandkids. So, the thing about it also, years ago, when Fox first came on, in small little towns like Durand, Wisconsin, which is where I'm from, they never had anything but Fox News. If you turned on your TV, you didn't even have to have basic cable. And if you did, that was Fox. You had to pay extra if you wanted to see anything else. And I remember years ago when I came back home and I asked, do you guys have MSNBC? And they're like, what's MSNBC? Right. So, it's one of those things where Fox, what we need to do is we need to explain to people that are movable, and we need to say, look, Fox took you guys for suckers. They first off made sure that they had NFL football on TV for all you football like we all do, especially in a state like Wisconsin. They also got you roped in to watching Fox News. And I'll tell you, I have walked door to door selling cable packages when I worked for Spectrum. And you could tell the minute you opened the door who was a Fox person and who wasn't. Because, one, they had their TV on louder in the background. Yeah. And two, that was all they cared about. It was like a cult. All they cared about was making sure that they had Fox. And they were angry. They were angry people. And I really, really am happy I don't live in their body. But honestly, these are our neighbors. These are the people that really do want, I think, a Medicare for All program. I think they are people that want to get money completely out of politics. I think they are people that believe that, we can have a better day. We can have Medicare and Social Security increase. I mean, if you look at all the percentages on policies, people vote absolutely in the 70 percentile of policies that they all agree upon.
So then how is it that the solution to the gross income inequality and inequity and growing disparity, the solution for that is to hire a billionaire and he bring his billionaire buddies and they're going to solve the problem?
I agree with you 100%. In fact, I think we should never have or let people rise to the heap in terms of having a reality show on TV, because I think a lot of these people have just been suckers. Sorry, he uses the word, so I'll use it. Suckers and losers in terms of believing that Donald Trump was anything but who he is. And the thing is, it's the billionaire class.
Hey, man, Tom, hang on. Let me jump in, man. I hear what you're saying, but we just talked about this piece from Ellie Mistel at the Nation. This is us, man. If there's any suckers and losers, it is us to think that maybe that we were better than this, that we would be better than the misogynistic, adjudicated rapist, fraudster guy that tried to overthrow the government and stack the Supreme Court and change the course potentially of this country for decades to come. If there's suckers and losers based on what I'm looking at here, it's any of us who think that, oh yeah, we are better than this. Because it doesn't seem like to me right now that we are. I don't know what the aspiration is here, Tom, but it's certainly not to be like Donald Trump, who many people, including some of our conservative callers and friends, would never let that dude alone with their daughter or have the keys to the office or check his coat to make sure he didn't steal the Post-it notes on the way out the door. That's not us, Tom. We got to do better. Or we just got to lower expectations. CJ, you are next.
It's the key to a happy life.
Right. CJ, I can give you about a minute, man. Welcome. What do you got?
Well, thanks for taking my call, Dom. I feel kind of guilty enjoying you guys try to evaluate what happened. Keep going the wrong direction, because I tell you what, the way you guys see it is totally not true. People are living this was a referendum on Harris, Biden. The world's on fire.
Yeah, and I saw. Hey, okay, hang on, CJ, real quick. Let me ask you real quick. We only got 30 seconds left. What policy is Donald Trump going to instill that will make lives better for working class folks? You got 30 seconds.
He's going to enforce the laws. People are going to feel safer and they're going to be more prosperous. Bottom line, the world.
He doesn't. He's going to enforce the laws. Okay. Appreciate the contribution. Thank you to all of our friends, including Maggie, Dawn, Dan, Schaefer, and, of course, our fair audience. Thank you, Jess P.S. on the board. Folks, we're going to come back tomorrow. We're going to do it again. It's Wednesday. Matt Rothschild going to join me. We got a lot more to get into. Appreciate your time. Have a wonderful evening. Nightlight with Pete Schwaba coming up next.
The national news cycle never stops, but it can be hard to find news about your local community. Civic Media is dedicated to providing quality local and state news coverage across Wisconsin. With the Civic Media app, you can get notifications about local stories that matter to you and your community. Find the free Civic Media app in your phone's app store and choose notifications from the menu to tell us what kind of news you want to hear about.